pins to chew, breaking down plays about to debut. There are pride in every view, nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Bright lights of my heart in our view. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. From draft picks to game reviews, celebrating wins and the lies and the clues. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. No orange and blue.
Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast.
What is up, Broncos Country? And how you doing, Orange and Blue crew? Welcome to another winning week on the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network and on the MHRT Network. I'm Johnny Baki, the Mile High Viking. That's right. What do you think of that? Isn't that sexy? Yeah.
Ooh.
Bam. And with me, as always, isn't that sexy? I'm going to show you a better close-up of it in just a second. With me, as always, my best friend in the world, godfather to my kids, fellow Broncos addict, Isaiah, the Bronco gentleman, Henderson. What's up, bud?
Yep, that's me. What up, Johnny? Day 2 of a winning week.
Yeah, you know, we're on a streak now. You can call it a streak. It's official. The Denver Broncos are on a win streak. It's 2 games, but it's a win streak is a win streak is a win streak. So, hey, here we go. And by the way, T-minus 5 days until you and I are sitting in the stands watching the Denver Broncos take it to the Las Vegas Raiders in Denver. I am so friggin' pumped, bro. How you feeling about it?
Been thinking about it all week. Can't stop thinking about it. Coming off a 2-game win streak back at home, facing a tough defense. You know, we got the run game going. The offensive line looks like they're gelling. We're ready to see another replication of that game against Tampa Bay where the offense was clicking. So we're excited. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to, Raider week, Raider hater for life.
Yeah, but which, like I told you, yeah,
I don't think
before
I don't think he's going to play. So that's something we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I haven't heard that, but I have heard, that he requested the trade, which we can talk about. But it's like I told you, like Isaiah, you have never actually experienced Raider week in Denver. Like this will be an entirely new experience for you because you've been to Broncos games and you know how hard Broncos country goes. You know how hard Broncos country goes at a normal game. But dude, when it's Raider week, it's a totally different atmosphere, totally different animal. The fan base is more pumped than you've ever seen them. I mean, it's wild, dude. It's a one of a kind experience. I can't wait to share it with you. Man, it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a blast. So we have our dear friend D-Rock in the house already saying, "Stop you whippersnappers." He says the refs stole our 6 points from a scoop and score. I want restitution. Shannon in the Shannon Sharp voice. I want restitution. I want to I love it, bro. I do too, man. Like I've actually got the game up on the TV right now, going back through it. And I'm telling you, dude, every single time I see that fumble by Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, we got straight robbed, dude. That was absolutely a fumble. It was absolutely stolen from us. What BS. But you know what? Go.
Not just that, we got robbed of that Garrett Wilson challenge because his knee was definitely out of bounds. Because we got that challenge taken away, we couldn't challenge the Aaron Rodgers fumble. And it was definitely a fumble, and it was definitely a complete pass.
Yeah.
But, water under the bridge, we got the win. And Devontae.
Yo, dude, your internet's doing its thing again.
Adams is giving them some hope. So we got the win.
Yeah. By the way, your internet's kind of choppy again. I'm not sure what's going on there. But no, you're right. I mean, you're right. We got the win, and that just shows that in the face of all things, how resilient this team can be. I mean, and we said that on the post game show the other day. We had a lot of things going against us, the weather and the referees obviously seem to have something out for us, all of that, and yet we still managed to hold on, to stick it out, and to rock it all the way to the end, all the way to the finish, and get a dub. So resiliency, plain and simple. I mean, I don't know. The biggest thing, of course, to talk about right now. Oh, go.
Can you hear me, Johnny?
Yeah, I can hear you. There's a lag again, though.
Johnny, can you hear me?
There's a massive lag, bro.
What about now?
Okay. Isaiah will be back with us momentarily. I bet you had to go disconnect his PlayStation or something from his internet. All right, guys. So here we are going into week 5. We are 500. We are 2-2. It's not perfect, but it's definitely grounds to build on. Our offense definitely looked shaky in this last game against the New York Jets. But at the same time, the New York Jets offense, I've watched this game right now. I've got it on the TV, but it's the third time I'm watching this game since Sunday. Well, all right, sorry. Third time, including Sunday. I watched it yesterday. I'm watching it again today. And the more I watch it, the more I see that, and again, to those that didn't like the fact that I was doing a whole lot of, rationalizing with the weather, the more this is like I said, the third time I'm watching this game, and I'm seeing more and more how much the weather was affecting not only the Broncos offense, but the Jets offense as well. So, I mean, you could say what you want to me about making excuses, blah, 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 blah. But like Isaiah said earlier, when we first got started, I'm looking for a bounce back week for the offense. I'm looking for the offense to look like what they looked like in Tampa.
See, and you mentioned grit and resiliency earlier, Johnny, and here's the one thing that I really saw that really encouraged me was in the heat of this defensive game going back and forth. I mean, and we know first one to get points on the board, the first one to score a touchdown wins the game because the defenses are going, even at first, the goal line, the Broncos defense was not having it. So you can see the type of game it is. And for the offense to finally come in, get in gear, and score a touchdown in the heat of that and still keep it up. It just shows the resiliency. And, everybody wants to, people don't want to give the Broncos defense credit, and they also want to talk bad about Bo Nix and his performance. That's fine. But Bo Nix was the only one that threw a touchdown that game. And the other quarterback was Aaron Rodgers. So that just shows the resiliency of this young team coming together and beating a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. You may not call it a shootout, but it was definitely a duel. And Bo Nix got, round 1 against Aaron Rodgers. So
absolutely. And
I'm encouraged. I'm hopeful.
And again, it was going against another, both teams, the Jets and the Broncos in this game, went into this game as top 5 defenses in the NFL. So you're right. It was an absolute slugfest. It was, however you want to put it. It was a slobber knocker, a slugfest, whatever. Back and forth. And then, but the Broncos held on. Like I said, they were resilient. And ultimately, we got the drive that the Jets couldn't get. And, you can say we might have got bailed out, but, by that missed goal at the end by the Jets kicker, Greg Zuerlein. However, we missed a kick right before him too. So ultimately, it was just a rough day in New York, in New Jersey for New York. It was a rough day there. And, going home this weekend against the Raiders at home, it's not going to be like that. I've already checked the weather forecast. There is nothing about precipitations in the forecast for Sunday. And it's time for us to go to work in front of our home crowd, rocking our throwback jerseys, baby. Oh, throwback week. I'm so
throwback week.
I'm so
It's
pumped.
Perfect. It's throwback week. We're debuting the throwback jerseys. It's against an old school throwback rival. Both teams are 2-2. It's the first division game, I believe, for both of us. The Chargers and Chiefs have already played each other, so the Raiders and Broncos are now their first division game against each other. The Raiders team is, they won. They're gritty too. They got one out last week, but now there's some news coming out with the possibility of Devontae Adams. What's the injury situation with Max Crosby? Regardless of all of that, this offense with this run game having its second game in a row of 100+ rushing yards, it's time for the offense to take that next step and bring in that pass game in addition to the run game. Not only that, the run game has to get started much earlier. Those 2 weeks with those 2 wins, we got lucky. It picked up at the end, but we might not always get lucky. We got to be able to start quick and start fast. We've been able to punch teams in the mouth with the pass, like Buccaneers. I think we had to come out with the Raiders at home, punch in the mouth with the run.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we saw Javonte Williams start to make his grand comeback finally. Or and again, I'm not ready to say that Javonte Williams is back, baby. I'm not ready to say that yet. It's we've got the first 3 games of the season he looked rough. And just as rough as he did last season, coming back from that injury, and now we get to see we got to see something out of him. What was it? He went what was it, 13 carries for 76 yards, something like that. I can't remember. I know we went over it in the post game, but I don't have the stat in my brain right now. I did a major brain dump earlier with some stuff I had going on. 15 carries for
15 carries. 15 carries, 77 yards.
There you go. So I mean, that's a big jump for him. What I saw, and I gave him a game ball post game, if you recall, is that we saw a side of him that we've been asking for when he was a rookie. We were like, okay, he's so good. He's so good as a rookie at trucking and carrying and just knocking players over and getting them out of the way. But it seemed like back then all he wanted to do was make contact, and break it. And he was good at it, but we haven't been able to see that Javonte since his injury. We haven't seen that side of him. So, but one thing that we've been missing when he was a rookie, we said it week in, week out, his rookie season, if you recall, he lacked the vision. He lacked good vision of the field, and he struggled finding good holes to run through. What we saw from him on Sunday was the side of him that we've been asking for back then, which was a dude who finds a hole, makes directional changes, finds a way around players as opposed to just through them. And his vision of the field was better. And so I'm optimistic that we are seeing a hopeful resurgence of Javonte Williams. However, I'm not going to call it that he's back, baby. I'm not going to be like, he's back. No, don't know yet. We don't know what we've got yet that way. But
yeah, I think yeah, I am too, and I think good momentum coming against the Raiders. We're at home, and like I said, go ahead and punch them in the mouth. This is a division game. You know what? Just go off, dude. Just go off from the beginning. Make it a hard physical throwback, tough.
Well, and as you and I both know, Broncos Country loves the throwback uniforms. Period. Like looking back, those jerseys. Granted, we never. A lot of people made it some points that we never won a Super Bowl wearing that style of uniform. You're right, we didn't. But you know what we did do? We went to 5 of them. They're wearing that style of uniform. So you know what? Shut up. It's fine. If I had my way, dude, we'd be in throwback every single week. Like I love the old jerseys, the old logo.
Yeah,
all of
I
it.
do like our new jerseys.
Oh, the new jerseys go hard, and I love them.
But I do like our new jerseys, though.
I mean, but dude, the throw.
I like having the throwback rotation, though.
Mm-hmm. That being said, it's going to be great.
Should be in rotation a lot more.
Mm-hmm. It'd be fun to see him wear the throwback on the road once. You there? Hello?
Yeah.
Bueller. It'd be fun. Just one time. D-Rock popping back in.
Can you hear me?
Saying, so Yeah, I can, but there's a lag again, man. I don't know what's going on. You know, we got the upgraded computer, the upgraded internet, and yet somehow I think Smyrna, Tennessee is just like a desert for internet or something. I don't know. You might have to move. I think you have to move. You have to move closer to Portland. That's what you have to do. All right, Portland,
Makes
Tennessee.
sense.
You got to move. No, D-Rock says, is our defense a little Giants? Just hear me out. Our defense are a ragtag bunch, gave up 0 tutties, but the Jets, filled with first rounders, gave up 1 tutty. That's right, man. And that's the thing is this defense, Mark Schlereth, legendary Broncos player turned, national media member. He does he does game day commentary, I believe on Fox. And and he's got his radio show and all that good, he as a Bronco and a Broncos commentator too, sometimes he has some pretty controversial opinions about the Broncos. But one thing that he said this season was, he's like, don't be sleeping on my Broncos. He's like, this is, this team is incredibly talented. This is a team full of great players.
Mhm.
They're just not name players. In other words, they're not guys that the whole league knows their names. But then, John Gruden came in this week, and I hate John Gruden. I always have, but he does his thing. He's former coach of the Raiders and all that, but he has his issues on the air and whatnot. But he actually came out and said the Denver defense by the end of this season will be a household name, in his opinion. That's mad respect coming from head coach.
I think he called us the anonymous crush.
Something like that. Anonymous Orange or something like that.
Yeah, that's an all right name.
I like Orange Rush better. But for the former head coach of our arch rival, who knows about that rivalry, our arch nemesis, if you will, to come out and say that the Broncos defense will be a household name by the end of the season, that just goes to show how impressive this defense really is. And that's why the title of today's show is the Orange Rush the best defense in the NFL? We're going to talk about it. But first, guys, if you haven't already and you're watching this for the first time or you're on MHRT Network, please jump on over to Orange and Blue Network. Oop, my apologies. I'm going to take this down. Here we go. Please jump on over to Orange and Blue Network. Give us a like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, X, Facebook, and check us out wherever you find the audio versions of your favorite podcasts. But if you are watching this on Orange and Blue Network and you haven't already, jump on over to MHRT Network. Give us a like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch. Hell, we're even on Instagram. This show and every Orange and Blue Network show are simulcast on the Orange and Blue Network and on the MHRT Network. So please do us a favor and give us the love. The Broncos got a dub this week, so so it's time for us to get a dub with the sponsor of today's show, which is Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend. You can see the link in the bio beneath. Dubby is amazing stuff. Comes in a multitude of delicious flavors. It is absolutely fantastic. The best part about Dubby is that it contains, in every cup of Dubby, you've got 2 cups of coffee worth of caffeine. However, you don't get the jitters or the crash later because Dubby has no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. It's as natural as it can be. It is nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics that keep you sharp throughout your day, including their own patented nootropic called Neurofactor. It is great stuff. I highly recommend. Jump on over, guys. Get yourself the dub. And I'm going to make that dub even sweeter because at the checkout, you're going to punch in code NRWOB10. That's NRWOB10 to get yourself 10% off your order. Guys, the Broncos got the dub. Now it's time to get yourself the dub. Go on over, w.gg. Now, bam. Thank you. Did you just give me West Side? Or is that a dub? No flashing gang signs, Isaiah.
Whew. That was what's
You ain't
up,
about that life. Yeah. No, you ain't about that life
that
no
W
more.
life.
All right. Yeah.
That W
You
life.
you ain't a yeah you ain't about that life no more. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to give your
Yo,
secrets
me.
away. All right.
Yeah, don't tell everybody.
No, I mean I already did just now. No, man. But anyway, going back to it, the Broncos definitely, while they struggled in against the Jets offensively, our defense absolutely was the animal that they have been the past 3 weeks. They struggled a little bit against Seattle, which, by the way, now that we're seeing what Seattle's doing, not shocking, because Seattle was up until last night was one of the only undefeated teams in the NFL.
I wouldn't say we struggled against Seattle. We had 2 safeties against Seattle, which hadn't been done in like 40 years. So
That's
we
true.
had 2 safeties against Seattle. So the defense has been stout from Jump Street.
You're right.
And the special teams. So 2 safeties against Seattle, 13 points against Pittsburgh, 7 against Tampa Bay, 9 against the Jets. So it seems since week 1, in addition to the 2 safeties, we're stingy in the red zone. We're stingy when you get before you get across the 50-yard line, we start getting real stingy. Now I think the next step I'm looking for is some more turnovers. I want to see some more turnovers. I don't want to, one a game is good. 2 forced fumbles now and an interception. That's good. Now I want to start seeing a couple more strip sacks. Let's start to get like last year, that 2-3 turnovers a game. Let's start putting points on the board on the other side. Give our offense a cushion. I know that's asking, the defense is already 1 or 2 in the league. Now just asking to take that next step, which is, get the ball back and give it back offense some more or score. Definitely scoring. Definitely want to score on defense. So that's what I'm definitely looking for. And, I heard somebody say that if Pat Surtain gets himself a few interceptions, he could be looking at Defensive Player of the Year along with Aiden Hutchinson, who's absolutely killing the game right now.
Absolutely. And do we know going into this game? I haven't seen anything. I've been scrolling through Twitter all day, but I haven't seen anything. Do we know which quarterback is starting for the Raiders against us? Is it Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell? Do we know?
Who played last game?
Excellent question. That's an excellent question. And one that I'm about to try to answer there. Let's see. That's
Chat, who played last
game? Oh man. Keep talking while I look. Keep talking.
Yeah. Let us know who played last game. So the question is the big question that's going to be for this week is Max Crosby, is he playing? And Devontae Adams. I'm pretty sure that the photo that Antonio Pierce liked was a photo saying that Devontae Adams may have played his last snaps as a Raider, and the head coach of the Raiders liked that photo.
So according to ESPN,
go ahead, Johnny.
According to ESPN, it was Gardner Minshew. It was Minshew who started for the Raiders against the Browns, and they said it's a good. It seems like they made the right decision not swapping him for Aiden O'Connell because he did lead them to a victory over the Browns. I'm not scared of Gardner Minshew. I've never been scared of Gardner Minshew. I was far more afraid of Baker Mayfield and far more afraid of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I have a healthy respect for him. I do have a healthy respect. He does have talent, but I've always looked at him as a journeyman. A lifetime backup quarterback, a Trevor Siemian, if you will. I don't see him, being the starting quarterback of the Raiders for very long, at least, as far as other seasons go. So I'm not too terrible. While I have the healthy respect for him, I'm not afraid of what Gardner Minshew can do against the Broncos, especially if his best target decides he's not going to play. Which would you please kind of walk us through that, Isaiah? I know that, like I said earlier, Devontae Adams did request a trade away from the Raiders. But what is this that you brought up about him not playing this Sunday?
So you may be the only one that doesn't know, Johnny, but so the whole thing started because there was I don't know if it was a tweet or a post or something that said Devontae Adams may have played his last snap as a Raider. And the head coach of the Raiders liked that post.
Oh God!
So somebody found out about it, said, "Hey, yeah, the head coach of the Raiders liked this post," and it went absolutely viral. Everybody was like, "What? This is crazy. Is this real?" So then everybody was like, "Okay," and then so Devontae Adams had an interview today with Kay Adams. And he was like, "Well, I haven't spoken to anybody. Nobody's talked to me. Nobody even spoke to him. Nobody tried to cover up, call him in, or any of that. So I guess he just turned around and requested a trade. It looks like if the coach likes that photo saying you played your last snap, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a healthy scratch. One, because they're probably going to trade him. They don't want him to get hurt. So that's definitely a possibility of why he won't play. It's because they already put out their compensation. They said they want a second and then
a second rounder plus a little bit of something sweeter. Yeah, I can now. Here's the real question. A fun question, obviously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I find, it's a dumb question because I don't think there's any possibility it would happen. They would never trade within the AFC West. So I mean, but could he be coming to Denver? I'm joking. I'm joking.
No. Now, but here's what I'm going to bring up. Here's my idea, right? So, Raiders already put out their compensation. I don't think Devontae Adams is dressing. They don't want him to get hurt. They want a second rounder or some change. I think he's going to go to the Jets. But here's the thing.
Wouldn't shock me. I mean, that's where Aaron Rodgers is.
Yes, and I think Hassan Reddick is going to be a part of that package because he also wants out of New York while Devontae Adams wants out of Las Vegas. So I think what's going to happen is going to be Devontae Adams. It's going to be Devontae Adams going to the Jets for Hassan Reddick in a second.
Okay.
So
all right.
You have Hassan Reddick and Max Crosby. Now, here's what I propose. And I texted this in the group chat earlier. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Yeah, it chopped up and then lagged for a second, but I can hear you now.
There we go. In the group chat. Now, if the Jets get Devontae Adams, here's what I say we propose to the Jets. We want Garrett Wilson, and we will give you a second and Baron Browning.
Okay. Say it again one more time.
We give the Jets a second round pick and Baron Browning, and we get Garrett Wilson.
Okay. I could.
That's what I propose.
So it would be a 3-team trade. In a way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could see it.
In a way, it'd be a 3-team
trade. My only hang up on that. And this is because I've been doing a lot of research on this player because one, he's on my fantasy team. And two, I wanted to, I kind of got the feeling that that a lot of people have been way too high on him is Garrett Wilson. I mean, the guy hasn't even broken a 60-yard receiving game yet. He hasn't, by the way. Go look it up.
Here's the deal.
So I don't know. He's
had
really
1,000 yards per season. I mean, he was a first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick, former Rookie of the Year. 1,000 yards every season. But this year he's playing with a different quarterback. He's playing with a different quarterback who expects his receivers to know what he's thinking. He hasn't played with a quarterback like that before.
Yeah.
And so his first time with Aaron Rodgers, he's trying to click. And so here's my thinking. If the Jets get Devontae Adams, that means they will have 2 Green Bay receivers who already know what he likes. Allen Lazard and Devontae Adams. In addition to that, you have Mike Williams, who's a great, who's in the slot, who also played boundary. So you have 3 receivers there. In addition to that, you have Conklin as your tight end. At that point in time, Aaron Rodgers wants to win now. and he already has two receivers, his favorite receiver of all time, now both know exactly what he wants with the same offensive coordinator they all had, all of them. So now they're even more meshed together. So my thought process is Garrett Wilson will probably he may not lose snaps. He may lose a couple snaps, but I think he'll lose some targets because now he's playing catch up. Before he was the number one target, now he won't be the number one target. But what I'm also saying is with the second round pick, you compensate New York the second round pick they lost to the Raiders for Devontae Adams.
So you give them a second for Garrett Wilson.
Because Jets had to give second for Devontae Adams. We give the Jets a second for Garrett Wilson. So the Jets would get their second round pick back. In addition to that, we give them Baron Browning, so that makes up for the Hassan Reddick hole.
Man, we're sure helping out the Jets, aren't we?
But look what we're getting. But we already played them, and we played them 3 years in a row. I don't think we're going to play them anytime soon. So we've already played them. We're not going to play them again, maybe except for the playoffs. But PS2 is familiar with Devontae Adams. We're getting Garrett Wilson, who Garrett Wilson would immediately be wide receiver one. He would immediately
familiar with Devontae Adams. He's shut Devontae Adams down 2 years in a row.
Exactly. Garrett Wilson would immediately be wide receiver one on our team.
Yeah. D-Rock popping in. I'm not afraid of no Gardner. Shout out to he says, shout out to Dr. Green Thumb, Cypress Hill. And then he says, let's get Adam Thielen from Carolina.
I'd rather get, if that's the case, if we're getting older receivers, I'd rather get DeAndre Hopkins from Tennessee. Or Amari Cooper from Cleveland, if we're getting older receivers. But personally, I prefer Kyle Pitts because I think that's what we need right now. I'd throw Atlanta a fourth. I'd throw him a fourth and Greg Dulcich.
I don't think they're going to take a fourth for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, they would. Why wouldn't they?
Because he was a much higher draft pick than that. They might take a third.
Kyle Pitts was a first round. He was number four overall pick. He had 1,000 yards his first year. That's the only year he's had 1,000 yards. He's coming up on the last year of his contract. He's going to be a free agent after this season anyway. So Atlanta would have to get anything for him. Either they get something for him or they get nothing for him and he becomes a free agent. So you're like, hey, you need something. So I tell you what, we'll give you Greg Dulcich, who's not on his last year of his rookie contract, who needs a restart. He's healthy this year. So he's a good twitch receiver. That can catch, and he runs better routes than Kyle Pitts. And then Kyle Pitts gets a restart with the Sean Payton offense, where all tight ends have done very well in Sean Payton's offense.
Yes.
So I think,
and we don't have anybody. We don't have a tight end right now that is doing well in his offense. So
Kyle Pitts, you're like, oh well, Kyle Pitts does this, that. Name someone who's better on the roster that's been more productive than Kyle Pitts this season. A tight end on our roster. No. He's not worse than anybody.
D-Rock agrees with me. It would be a second or a third for Pitts, but I don't know. We'll see. Who knows what's going to happen?
What I say is give him a fourth and a former third.
Yeah. Now, as far as the rumor mill goes, and this is a rumor that I don't know if you can actually call it a rumor because it was started by a Broncos insider, is that there have already been talks about talking to Atlanta about Kyle Pitts. That's coming from Benjamin Albright.
That wasn't what he said. He said, I would be, personally. He said personally, I would be looking at Kyle Pitts. And here's the thing about Ben.
Here's the thing. You're right, but here's the thing I know about Ben Albright because I literally have hung out in person with the guy. When he tells you, I would be looking out for, or it's a possibility that this might, whatever. It's usually because he's already heard somebody else within the Broncos organization say something about it. So, he's not just making guesses based on what he wants to say. He's literally saying, he's literally saying, generally speaking, I would be on the lookout for them to possibly make a move on Atlanta to get Kyle Pitts. And that means that somebody somewhere in the organization has said something about it.
I wouldn't mind giving him a third. I wouldn't go no higher than a third. A third makes sense. D-Rock says, how's Pitts on blocking now? We don't know because he's always, for some reason, I guess this year especially, he's been playing outside the numbers. And I guess that's what his highlights were in college. But NFL DBs aren't college DBs. If you put a tight end outside the numbers, that's not going to be unless it's unless it's not even third and short, but unless it's the red zone, that's a mismatch with the DB, especially if you have him running routes. I think he's more of a slot tight end. He's definitely more of a Chris Godwin slot tight end. And I think that's definitely where I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton's definitely going to make him put his hand on the ground, and he's definitely going to get better at blocking. But I definitely think having that big 6'6" target.
I was going to say he's got the frame for it. He's got the frame for it.
Definitely. He's got the frame for a good blocker too. He really does.
Yeah.
If he can get better at blocking, he can definitely be a good weapon. And
yeah, this is the new name, Magus Odin Illout. Says, I say, first of all, Magus, welcome to the Orange and Blue crew. Here's to you. Cheers. I say Kroll should be playing over Dulcich. Dulcich has been terrible.
They're both awful.
Yeah, they both have been, they both had such...
he's on the healthy...
He's on the what?
Kroll's been a healthy and active.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, neither one has lived up to the hype that they were getting in this offseason. Everybody was like, okay, this is going to be the year. It's going to be happening. And you're working in a Sean Payton system with a quarterback who has no fear of throwing over the middle, and yet the tight ends can't catch a damn ball over the middle of the field. That is inexcusable. From that position, if you are touted to be a pass-catching tight end, you better be able to catch a pass over the damn middle. Plain and simple. D-Rock, I believe that once the running game gets better, Dulcich will get more targets. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I can for sure see that. I definitely think a more consistent running game, especially from the beginning, will definitely open up the playbook. Like I said, that's what I think the Broncos have to do this week. Is definitely we've been sticking with the running game all 4 games. Shout out to Sean Payton for that and Joe Lombardi, because they're like, hey, we're going to stick with this. And now it's starting to pop open. The offensive line is starting to gel. Sean Payton's starting to get the right play calls, the traps, the counters for Javonte, and then the outside zone blocking scheme for Jalil. He's starting to get that, and it's starting to mesh, and they're starting to get better at that. Estimate comes back. He's eligible to come off IR next week. So he's going to be coming back. But I think a consistent run game from the beginning is definitely going to open up that playbook, because then Bo Nix, I 100% believe Bo Nix out in play action outside the tackle box is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. On the run, throwing the ball is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Once we get that run game going, that's when you'll see Dulcich on drag routes, or Dulcich on some mesh routes, or maybe you'll see him on 7 to 12 yard digs. So, and then once he gets in a rhythm, you'll start seeing some seam routes and stuff like that. But hopefully, but like D-Rock said, it comes with the run game.
It does. But at the same time, we saw early in the season, at least in the first 2 games, multiple targets to Greg Dulcich, who could not haul the ball in when it was put right where he could catch it. They were catchable passes. It's not like, it's not like it was this, on this last Sunday against the Jets in the rain, where the ball was slipping out of Bo's hand and, in the top of his arc and flying 2 or 3 feet over the head of his intended receiver. He was putting balls right into the hands, right into the chest of Greg Dulcich, who was dropping pass after pass. That's inexcusable. That is not okay when you're supposed to be the pass catching tight end on this team. It makes me really sad.
It was out of character too. It was out of character too.
I don't know.
Dulcich
I don't know if he's got.
If not, I remember. Did he always have drop problems? I didn't think so.
We don't know because we've never gotten to see. That's the thing. We don't know because we've never gotten to see him stay healthy long enough for us to fucking find out. But I'm sorry, I've been trying to hold back the F word, and I let it slip there. But that's the point. That's how frustrated I am with Greg Dulcich. Is he was out long enough, he was out. So he's been out so much that we don't know what we have in him. but he was still supposed to be the guy that we drafted to be the pass catching tight end. Broncos answer to Travis Kelce, equivalent to a Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Darren Waller, any one of those guys, Mark Andrews, and now Isaiah Likely. You know what I mean? Like, that's who he was supposed to be. And yet this season, all we have seen out of him are drop passes. And it's I'm not a coach, I'm not a player, but it's inexcusable. But I am a true student of this game, and I'm a true fanalist of this team. I do it week in, you and I, we do this week in, week out, and we are dialed in. We know what we're talking about. And I'm sorry, that's inexcusable from him. I'm to the point now where I don't want to see him on this team next year. And that makes me really sad, because I was really high on him when we drafted him. So
yeah,
something's got to give.
I agree, especially a 3rd round pick. Throw him in somewhere with a trade or let him go, because even you can't your first healthy year and then you come out dropping passes. At this point in time, you can't justify the roster spot.
Nope.
Even if
you can't justify you cannot justify a 5th year option or a contract extension either right now. So
now, granted, tight end play is down across the league altogether, but
it is
even in the minimum that you've shown, you haven't shown you're not an asset to the team. You've shown to be a liability. If not, okay, maybe not in the blocking game, but if you're going to be a liability in the passing game,
what were you saying? You're going to be a liability.
So maybe the Raiders.
Go back. Go back. It cut out. You said if you're going to be a liability in the passing game, and then it totally cut out everything you said.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you're already a liability in the run game, and then you're going to turn around and be a liability in the pass game, there's no justification for a roster spot at that point in time.
Right.
So I think maybe this Raider game could be a game where we see more Dulcich, Franklin, and Mims, the people we've been begging to see but haven't seen, the Yak guys. Maybe we see some film on tape where we can see the potential. But that game against that last 2-minute drive against Tampa Bay was Adam Troutman, wasn't Dulcich.
Yeah.
And then you got Nate Atkins, who can block, play fullback, and he can catch.
But he hasn't been doing that either. I mean, that's the thing. There has not been a tight end. They've not been really targeted much, and that may be a play calling issue. But when they have been targeted, I think they've all had some drop issues, or they've. I know for sure that Nate Atkins had a blown route that ended up as an incomplete because he misread his own route, and Bo Nix threw it, and it was not anywhere near where it was supposed. He was not where he was supposed to be. So right now this tight end room does not give me confidence.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I think sometimes me personally been too hard on Sean Payton, because if I'm thinking about it, not having a tight end severely shrinks your playbook. Because I'm thinking about the New Orleans Saints offense and Drew Brees, and I'm like, how did they put up all these numbers? How did this offense? But you had production from everywhere, so the playbook was open. On any given play or on any given route, this roster, especially in the tight end room, is severely handicapped. So that's why guys like Kyle Pitts or Mark Andrews have come up, because that opens up the play. Because imagine 6% of the offensive playbook has tight ends for, and maybe 70% of that 6% are third down and red zone plays that we just don't use.
Yeah.
So D-Rock comes in with a question. He said, I have a query. If Denver defense continues to dominate the NFL, does VJ or will he stay, or will he leave if he's offered a head coach job?
Okay. I'll answer this one first. I don't think VJ gets offered a head coach job after this season. I think the NFL will want to see at least 2 years of this kind of dominance before someone's willing to, all right, let's give him another chance to be a head coach, because they've already seen him head coach once. They saw how badly he blew it. So what they're going to be looking for is some kind of a progression in his coaching maturity to justify giving him that shot again. So I believe that they're going to want that all the teams in the NFL are they're going to be looking for at least one more season of him being this dominant as the defensive coordinator before he'd be considered for that. At the same time, I don't know if he would leave or not because I kind of get the feeling based on the things that I've been hearing from people around the organization that I know, and I'm going to keep their names out of it. Simply because, it's information they've given me, but I'm not gonna call out my I'm not gonna give up my source, so to speak. Is that he's very happy where he is right now. And he's happy being back in Denver. He loves the city. He loved it here when he was first here as a head coach. He's very happy to be back here. He's really enjoying what he's doing right now. So I don't know if he would, maybe it could be. I know myself in the past, I have been offered a position at another place that that would have paid more, that would have been, an upgrade in terms of status and, like I said, pay and everything else. But I've chosen to stay where I was because I was happy I was happy where I was. So I don't know what he would do if offered that opportunity again. I would say he might go for the interview if offered that opportunity, because I mean, you get an opportunity, you at least do the research, right? See what it'll be. But I don't know if he would actually leave. I just don't know. I wish I did, buddy, because I don't want to lose him. I don't want to lose him ever. The way that this defense is playing. Like,
I will say this.
Okay.
I will say this. I think the way Sean Payton put his staff together, besides Vance Joseph, the main one that pops in my head is Vance Joseph. Every other coach that's hired came from outside in. So they weren't coaches being promoted through the ranks. At least the majority of the staff isn't built that way. So when you get people that you rise through the ranks, the turnover gets high, especially when you're successful. So like Evero, he had a defensive coordinator job elsewhere. You get coaches who get plucked out. So people talk about Davis Webb all the time. Davis Webb may be an offensive coordinator somewhere, some way soon, depending on how the offense looks. Vance Joseph would call. I wouldn't be surprised if Vance Joseph got a call from the Jets.
I wouldn't either.
I think if you put Vance Joseph's aggressive play calling on the Jets, that's a sight to behold. And I think,
and we all can see the writing on the wall. Robert Saleh's days are numbered in New York.
Yeah, I don't think they care. The Jets care about an offensive coach being the head coach when you have Hackett and Rodgers, or they may want a new offensive coordinator depending on what the new head coach wants. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, the fans. I'm gonna say this: the fans in New York are screaming for it. Like I did a lot of. I went through a lot of New York Jets fans Twitters this week and reaction videos, and literally every single one of them was just screaming for the replacement of Nathaniel Hackett. And I was just like, we told you.
Yeah, Gary Wilson just came out today talking about how he said, he wishes there was some versatility, some change in our offense. He said he's looking around at all the games and all the leagues. He's like, man, those teams adjust and they have these nice plays. The same thing we were saying. But that's also Aaron Rodgers at the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
All these plays.
All
everybody
right.
knows Aaron Rodgers is like short and intermediate.
Yes, he is. All right. So let's go ahead and answer the ultimate question that was posed by the title of today's show, Isaiah. And then let's do a segment before we get out of here. Is the Orange Rush the best defense in the NFL? We've got a show. We have an absolute just menacing front line that is just harassing quarterbacks like crazy.
By stats, it's top 3.
Mm-hmm.
According to the stats, let me see if I can.
No, you're right. You're right, but you are absolutely right. It is the top 3 in pretty much every single facet. In pass defense, run defense now, and of course quarterback pressures. So
Yes,
they
pressure, passing
they're
yards, yards per game, yards per play, any defensive stat you can think of, we're top 3.
Points per game, all of it.
I have to say, our defense is better than the Jets. We showed that. The only question is, I think our defense is better than the Seahawks. The Seahawks had some numbers put up on them against the Lions, but that's because the Lions are incredible.
Which, by the way, huge shout out to Jared Goff for becoming the very first quarterback in history to not throw an incomplete pass in under 20 passes.
Yeah. And Drew Brees was close.
He did it last night. First quarterback in history went 18 for 18 on the game. There was only one play you could say questionable, that he ultimately was thrown out of bounds and caught out of bounds, but ultimately it came back on a defensive pass interference. So that negated that being an incomplete pass for him. But here's how I'm
like I was saying.
Oh, go ahead.
No, like I was saying, Detroit's offense is great, but the Seahawks got some numbers put up on them. I think after these next 2 weeks, before we get to New Orleans, it's definitely. I think by the time we get to New Orleans, if we can Raiders and Chargers one score each, 3-7, I think yes. I think that's a big deal, especially the yards. We had to especially stay strong with that. I think we can definitely be. Cheers.
New name.
Yuri
name in the house. Yuri Musgrove. Broncos for
Cheers.
life. Absolutely, my friend. DB4L. We love you. We thank you. Welcome, Yuri, to the Orange and Blue
Really quick, before you go to the defense, answering the question, I'd say this about the Detroit Lions. The floor for the Denver Broncos offense was this past Sunday. I think the ceiling for this Denver Broncos offense, is the Detroit Lions. The only thing Sean Payton's missing is the pieces, and he's trying to put it into place. And I think starting off with getting a person like Kyle Pitts, I think that's definitely the right way. Because Dan Campbell is they're running the Sean Payton offense. And you see what the Sean Payton offense looks like when it's successful. So it's not outdated, because when you watch the Lions, you're like, goodness.
Definitely not outdated. It's just complicated and very difficult to achieve, and so you have to have the right pieces to do it. That being said, my opinion on this defense, is that yes, and yes, it is the best defense in the NFL. And I'm only saying that, right? I'm only saying that, not orange lenses off. Oh, shit, I can't see. Putting it back on. But orange lenses off. Yes, the Denver Broncos defense, the Orange Rush, is the best defense in the NFL, and here's why. It is very simple. It is the only defense that is in the top 5 in every single stat line defensively. Maybe not number 1 in any one of them. But when you look at the fact, you see I can't remember who all was ahead of them in certain stat lines. I'm not even going to try to remember it, and I'm not going to look it up right now because there's not enough time. What I'm going to say, though, the Broncos are the only ones that have whose defense is top 5 in every single facet. It's complete. That's insane. That's an amazing stat line. That's an amazing fact. So yes, in my opinion, because of that alone, the Denver Broncos defense is the best defense right now in the NFL. And opposing teams should be on notice and be scared, because this defense is coming for every single, in my opinion, this defense is coming for every single team we face, and God willing, every single team that we might face this season. If you take my money on that one. Now, I think we should have a little bit of fun and just do a quick, the phrase is incomplete. Just for shits and giggles, have a little fun with it. We can each give 2, and then we can roll on out of here and get ready, Isaiah, because we are 5 days away from being at the stadium for the game together.
No, just do 1. I don't have anything, so just do 1. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that'll get you have the time it takes for this this transition to come up with one. Here we go. The
No,
phrase
you
is
just go
incomplete. All right, guys, this is the phrase is incomplete, where we make a statement, where we make statements, but we leave a blank somewhere in the statement, making it incomplete. That our partner then will complete, and we will complete our own as well. Please complete our phrases in the comments as well, and we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. So mine's just a lot of fun.
You gotta find and explain that.
A better way to explain it,
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
where we just complete the. How about I just say, "Welcome to the phrase is incomplete," where we complete an incomplete phrase.
I love it. Incomplete sentence.
Phrase.
Sentence. It's a sentence that you end up
It can
saying.
be. It doesn't. No, it doesn't have to be a sentence. It could be multiple sentences. It can be multiple sentences. The segment is called "The phrase is incomplete," not "The sentence is incomplete." You nincompoop.
Whatever. My bad for never nonsense.
So
All right,
anyway,
I'll go
we will
first.
complete the phrase. You're going first. Go.
Javonte Williams will have blank amount of rushing yards this Sunday.
Ah. Okay. Blank rushing yards this Sunday for Javonte Williams. All right. So obviously the Raiders have Max Crosby, and that's
They're just horrific on defense. The Raiders are horrific on defense.
They are. They do have Max Crosby, which is him by himself is terrifying. But otherwise the Raiders, if he plays, but the Raiders otherwise are not good at stopping the run. I think they're 27th in the league right now at stopping the run, something like that.
Like 30th or 29th.
Okay, well, they were 27th last week. I couldn't remember. Anyway, Javonte Williams. He had 77 this week against the Jets. In the hope that we are seeing the resurgence of him, I'm going to say Javonte Williams will have 95 yards rushing in this game against the Raiders. I'm not going to jump straight over the 100 yet.
Williams will have 115 rushing yards this Sunday. Take it to the bank.
Okay. So you've got two. You've got 2 first downs over me on that one. But
yeah.
But I'm just saying. Like, I don't think I'm ready yet to just jump over the 100 with him yet. I think I want to see a little bit more out of him first. So I'm going to get him close to 100.
D-Rock disagrees. He will eclipse 100+ yards. I agree,
cool.
D-Rock. I
just want to. I decided I want to get him close to the 100, but not yet jump over it yet.
That's because you're a psychopath.
Well, I mean, we all know
You're torturing the man.
I know. We all know this. Anyway, okay. So that is your phrase. The phrase is incomplete. Now, D-Rock literally just stole my. Yep. Oh, all right. Well, I'm still going to use it. At the Broncos Raiders game in Denver, where the Mile High Viking and the Bronco gentleman will both be in attendance for the first time this season. Shut up. It's a phrase. I'm having fun with it, you son of a bitch. All right. So you interrupted me. Now I have to start over. See how this goes? See what you do to me? See? You're doing this to yourself. This is your fault. Well done. Anyway, at the Broncos Raiders game in Denver, where the Mile High Viking and the Bronco gentleman will be at attendance for the first time in the 2024 season, Bo Nix will have blank touchdown passes on the game. Go.
I already said earlier in the week, earlier in the week, he will have 3 touchdowns against the Raiders. And D-Rock agrees with me. He will have 3 tutties.
All right. I like it. I say 2. I say he throws for 2 touchdowns.
That's because I have
Now-
the Broncos absolutely blowing out the Raiders.
Oh, sure. And I kind of do too. Here's the hitch. I have Bo Nix scoring 3 touchdowns. One of them's with his legs. I say Bo runs.
Yeah.
Well, it gets 2 touchdown passes, and then Javonte Williams gets at least 1 touchdown.
I say Bo has 3 passing touchdowns, 1 to Cortland, 1 to Josh, and 1 to either Mims or Franklin. And then Jaleel and Javonte both have 1 touchdown each, 35-7 Broncos.
Woo! I love it. How you too, dude? I'm gonna have so much fun. So you said 35-7 Broncos. I'm gonna have to give my score prediction now before we get out of here because we won't be here to do it this weekend.
Yup.
We will be at the game. We will not be able to be the guys in the seat at the Get Buck Game Day show. So let's see. You said 35-17 Broncos.
No, I said 35-7.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, 35-7. Okay. All right. I am going to say 35-13 Broncos. Yeah, I'm going to say that.
Don't care.
I'm going to say that the Raiders get a touchdown and two field goals. The Broncos, like I already said, Bo Nix throws for 2 passing touchdowns, 1 to Cortland Sutton. I'm going to say the other one's to Marvin Mims. Bo runs 1 in with his legs. Javonte gets 1 and Jaleel gets 1. So that's, again, there you go. 35-13 Broncos over the Raiders.
All right, close us out, Johnny.
Man, guys, I love you all. I love the Orange and Blue crew. I love Broncos Country. Thank you for joining us for another fun episode of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network and on the MHRT Network. Please make sure you jump on over and like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, X, Facebook, and listen to our audio podcast everywhere you listen to your favorites. And then also jump on over to MHRT Network where you will give us a like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and even on Instagram. Guys, we really appreciate you all. We love you all. We cannot wait. We will be calling in from the tailgate on the Gut Buck Game Day show this week, which will be hosted by another host of the Orange and Blue Network. Thank you for joining us.
Tailgate talk.
We tailgate talk, baby. And until next time, this is the Mile High Viking and the Broncos gentlemen simply saying, "Go Broncos!"
Orange and blue, we're here for you. Talking Broncos all day through. No stopping us, we're on the loose. Come join the crew, no bad news. Podcast vibes so fresh and true. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Catching up on all that we knew. Hit play, let the episodes accrue. Nothing rhymes.